might know a lot of watercolor techniques, use the best supplies, and still end up with something that doesn't work. So today I'm going to share the mental shift most people miss with what truly makes watercolors work every time. I think how you lay down each step actually is what makes a painting succeed. It's like having a cheat sheet for watercolor. And it goes for anything, landscapes, still life, and even this baby reference right here. For example, I always start with a smart sketch. And by smart, I mean that watercolor is about making early decisions so you don't struggle later. So here, I'm keeping most lines light, except where shadows or separations matter. There, I press a bit more to make sure that they show through the first layers. These areas are anchors, and you'll need them later, because if the structure isn't clear before you paint, no technique will save it. Once the sketch is done, the next thing I check off is painting a foundation for my art on wet paper, and that's really important. The only time I skip wet and wet is if I'm just painting a shape with no background. Most of my watercolors start like this now because wet paper makes painting faster and looser. It's great for perfectionists too because it guarantees softness by forcing the paint to stay light, to spread, and to move. And that's exactly the look that people are usually chasing with watercolor, whether they realize it or not. That's why instead of trying to control everything from the start and ending up with stiff results, now I just let the water do a big part of the job for me. And before I even touch the paint, I decide what I am not going to paint. And this is a big one in watercolor, the whites. Great example with this baby actually, where the onesie is a large, clear white shape, so I leave it alone. When I wet the paper, I carefully go around it. I just keep a tiny gap so the water won't creep in later. It's what keeps the edge crisp. I could use masking fluid to preserve it, but I prefer this. It keeps everything fast and simple. And this step isn't optional. Skip it and you'll struggle later if your goal is to keep some whites. This is why order matters more than technique. This is something to plan for from the very beginning. When I first started watercolor, I painted over everything and added whites last with gouache. It seemed easier to me at the time, and the paintings were okay, but they never had the freshness they do now. So once that's done, I move into painting everything else but the onesie, while the paper is still wet. And on wet paper, I don't think in sections. I always treat the whole sheet as one. That's how you keep that natural flow and your painting moving faster. I also start with light colors by mixing a skin tone with lots of water and just enough pigment to tint the paper. It's important too. And I drop it into the baby shape. It bleeds a bit into the background, and this is where you have to trust the process. Because if you're doing things in that order, paint on wet with light colors, these little mistakes won't matter the least. They'll dry so light that you won't even see them later. That's why after 7 years of watercolor, I wouldn't even call those mistakes. For me, it's just part of the process. Then I bring in the background color, in this case blue. Still quite light and still on wet paper. Because I avoided the onesie when wetting the paper, I can now paint around it very easily without losing the shape. And very quickly, we have something that already reads as there's a baby sitting, there's a background, there's the baby's clothes and they're white. This is your foundation. And notice how fast and simple it can be. We're not thinking about details or trying to be precise. We're just placing the big pieces where they belong. The background is just there to support the subject. That's why you can make it messy, textured, smooth, whatever you feel like. In the end, it's going to fade behind the main subject anyways, and when you remember this, painting wet in wet should feel a lot less scary as long as you start with light colors. Something I feel many people ignore and that makes their paintings look flat is contrast. I learned to start thinking about it right away from this wet stage. And we need just enough of it to guide the painting. So to understand contrast, just remember that light needs dark next to it to stand out, just like dark needs light. So here, for example, we have a onesie. If I leave everything around it looking equally light, it's not gonna stand out. So I know I need to deepen the blue around it, just enough to create a separation. I also add a bit more depth under the baby so it feels like he's sitting on something rather than floating. And at the same time, I keep areas around the face and limbs lighter because I know I'll have more color and detail there later. So if you think about contrast early, all you will need later are small adjustments. So remember to try and build a solid foundation in the wet and wet stage first. Light colors first and then make them a bit stronger where contrast matters. And if it's not like you imagined or you feel like you messed up, don't panic because light paint is easier to remove or conceal. Once this first stage is completely dry, I move into refining the subject on dry paper this time. And what's great is that we're not starting from zero thanks to that foundation I just built. And this is where a lot of people rush to paint details. Instead, I focus on the big parts in the baby, not details, and I use two brushes. One to apply paint and one clean and slightly damp to soften edges. This is one of the simplest techniques, but it makes a huge difference. Instead of leaving harsh lines, I can place color and immediately soften parts of it and even make it spread into lighter areas. This way, I get smooth transitions without overworking. I still start light even at this stage, and that's very important. I rarely jump to strong colors right away. I build them up gradually. For example, I add a bit more pigment to the skin, I define certain areas, and then I soften into the lighter parts to create natural gradients. You can see it on the leg here, where I'll place a slightly stronger color where the shadow is, and then with my damp brush, I'll pull that color into the lighter area. And I'm not even painting the lightest part, as you can see. And that's how you get that soft and realistic look without overthinking it. I need to say though that the entire time I do use the reference as a guide to decide where the shadows are and where the light areas are. I'm not guessing. You can see, but my eyes go back and forth from the paper to the reference. On dry paper, I paint section by section. It's very different from wet and wet. In the arms and the legs, I'm still careful and I still leave lighter areas where the light hits. And you start to see the volume appear even more clearly as I go over the shadow areas. The painting starts to feel three-dimensional, and again, it's not because of one complex technique. It's because everything is being built in the right order and I do it gradually. Think foundation first on wet, and then just a bunch of small adjustments on dry. That's what I do here still when I go back for a second layer on dry paper. With each layer, I refine smaller things. I'm never repainting everything. I'm just adjusting. Maybe an ear needs more depth. Maybe a shadow is not strong enough yet. So I just go in with slightly more pigment, a bit less water, and I build on top of what I already have. This is where confidence really shows in watercolor, because when you already have a base, adding to it feels safe. Try and keep this in mind after you reach that stage of a solid foundation. You'll feel like it's easier to keep going. For the hair, I mix a soft brown with the same colors I already used before, yellow, red, and blue, and I apply it gently. Then I soften it so it stays loose and natural. I don't want hard lines there, at least not too many. And hair is totally the type of thing where it's easy to overwork by painting a bunch of lines, so I'm really just suggesting a few, and that's enough. At this point, I can add small details like fingers, toes, little creases in the skin. I deepen certain shadows just enough to make them read better, but I keep everything soft. With a baby in particular, softness is important. You don't want strong, harsh contrast in the skin. I also start adding small touches of color where I need it. For example, a bit of red on the cheeks, and also slightly deeper tones in certain areas of the face. But again, I do this now and not at the beginning because now I understand what the painting needs. At the start, you don't have enough information to know, but at the stage you do. And that's why the order matters so much. Each step is going to give you more clarity for the next one. So when you freak out in the beginning because you don't know where your painting is going, just remember it's normal. Not even advanced painters know, it's just a gradual thing. Then comes my favorite stage, the one that really makes everything come alive. The darker shadows. This is where most people hesitate because it feels risky. But if you followed the right order up to this point, it's actually very controlled. With a darker mix from a deep violet color, I applied paint in the folds of the fabric. I placed that darker value, and then immediately I softened it with my damp brush so it blends into the white. If I didn't do it this way, it would look very harsh, very dark against the white paper. But it's not the case here, and suddenly the fabric looks real. Before that, it was just a flat white shape. Now it has depth, volume, and even movement. And you can see white areas in watercolor look flat and unnatural if they're left blank. They need just a few well-placed shadows to create that illusion of realism, and again, the reference will guide you with that. So observation is also a skill to develop in watercolor painting. If I feel like shadows are too strong, or if I want to bring a bit of light back in certain areas, I use lifting on dry paper. I add a bit of clean water to reactivate the paint, and then I gently lift it with a paper towel. This is not meant to bring back pure whites. That's why we preserved those from the start. This is more about creating soft highlights and transitions, and also connecting the whites and colors. I love this technique because it balances the painting and it's always subtle. And now everything feels cohesive, not because each step was complicated, but because each one happened at the right time. That's really the key. And you really don't need to reinvent the process with each new watercolor. You just need to follow a structure. Protect your whites before you paint. Build your base while it's wet. Think about contrast early. Refine gradually on dry. Add your strongest shadows at the end, and adjust with lifting and a few details if you feel like you need to. That's it. Practice this and watercolor is going to become very enjoyable. I've got full courses to help you build this skill and paint realistically while keeping that loose, magical watercolor feel. So I'll link them in the description below if you want to check them out. And if this video helped you see watercolor differently, let me know in the comments below. I always love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.